Today I have a guest with me and her name is Carolini. She was born in Brazil. And the reason why I wanted to have her on today is because I found out she was vegan for 2 years and then she started adding animal products back into her diet and her family. And I thought that was really interesting. So I wanted to ask her, why did you decide after 2 years of being a vegan, did you add animal products back?
All right. Hi. So there was a couple of reasons why I decided to do that. One reason was my children, and I think that was one of the biggest thing for me. And it wasn't necessarily a worry that I had. There was a nutritional worry, because I know that you can raise kids vegan and they'll be healthy. I do believe that. But it was a psychological worry that I had. And my oldest daughter, she's 10 years old, and she's a sweetheart, but she's a pleaser. And she also is a worrier. She worries a lot. And she started to really worry about the foods that she was eating. Anybody would offer her something, she would look at me, is that okay? Am I gonna be okay? Like, she's like, Mom, like, come here, save me. She would read the label of everything. And not that that's wrong. I think that that's great. I think that's great for us to be empowered since we're in an early age to know what's healthy, what is not, what is good for our bodies. But for a child, they're very like all or nothing thing, black and white. And I noticed that if she decided, okay, I am going to have this piece of pizza, because I never prohibit them. We were vegan. We were 100% vegan, like at home, and I was 100% vegan. But if we went to a party, if we went to places, I took our vegan alternative to places. But sometimes we just want what other people are eating, especially when we're kids. Or I want this other cupcake. It looks great, how it's decorated and things like that. And I would let them have it. I never told them, you can't, you're not going to have, those things. And my other kids would have it, but she would just be so worried and she would feel so bad if she did it. She ought to almost be ashamed. And that was something that was kind of like, it just rubbed me wrong. Like every time I just like didn't like it. I didn't think was right. I was teaching them about, why be vegan, what happened with the animals, the industry and all that. But in the same time, I didn't want to create this deep fear inside of her. And that's what I was afraid. I started seeing that. So that was one thing for me that was big. But my little one, my 4-year-old, he started to go next door. My father-in-law lives next door to me, and she started going next door there and starting asking for eggs. And she would ask for eggs all the time. They're like, she's coming over here and she's asking me for eggs. And I gave her 2 eggs and she wants more eggs. Ooh. And I'm like, oh, okay, just give her the eggs, that's fine. But I wasn't buying eggs. We homeschool, but we do go once a week to a community and we have lunch all together. It's kind of like bring your own lunch. And we would bring our lunch and eat, but then my daughter would go up to my friends and say, hi, can you give me a little piece, the 4-year-old, of your chicken? Can you give me a little piece of your turkey? And they would laugh and say, your daughter wants a piece of chicken, and I'm like, fine, you can give her a piece of chicken. But that was also worrying me. I'm like, okay, like, I don't like that. My 8-year-old son was like, Mom, I'm going to be vegan at home, but I'm telling you, if anybody offers me chicken, I'm having it. And I'm like, okay, fine. He's kind of wasn't worried about him because he was just like, not trying to sneak the stuff like my 4-year-old was trying to kind of like go next door and be like, when I wasn't with her, she would be like, can I have an egg? And he wasn't really afraid of eating things. He was just like, whatever. I think that if all of them was their way, I wouldn't have been as worried about that side of things. So that was one thing. Then I'm going to go a little bit, I guess, in the reason why I became vegan, to also answer why I'm not vegan. I decided not to be vegan anymore. So one of the reasons why I decided to become vegan is because I had eczema. What I thought was eczema, I found out it has been a year that what I have is psoriasis. But I was always told my whole life that I had eczema. And eczema and dairy are related. And I did a panel to see what I'm sensitivity to, what I had sensitivity to with foods, and it was milk and what else? Eggs. Eggs. I didn't have sensitivity to that test. Did not show sensitivity to gluten, even though now years later, a different test has shown that I have sensitivity to gluten, and I guess psoriasis is more related to gluten sensitivity or allergies. Not and eczema is more to dairy. So just through I studied nutrition, as we talked about it before, and I had some, understanding of those, even though I just went to mainstream college and just learned the set diet. So it's like, I feel like a lot of the holistic things that I have learned has been on my own, and through going to naturopath doctors and learning from them and learning from reading. I almost give more value to that than this school, because not that I'm not, I'm grateful for learning those things too. So I wasn't having any dairy. I wasn't having any eggs. We were having animal products, but we were having, grass fed. I was buying my meat from a farm and all that. So we were very careful kind of what animals we ate, and the products that I bought. I tried to choose, I don't know what, there's this neurologist that I like to listen to her stuff, and she talks about eating happy animals, but she's like the one that are not suffering the farm. But anyways, I tried to do that. But then again, my daughter, my 10-year-old, who worries about things, she was like, she loved animals and she wanted to help animals. And I said, you know what? I'm reading all these things about being vegan, and whole food plant-based is what I, like to call. I think that's a better term than vegan, because it can be vegan and not be healthy. So I was kind of liking that, liking what I was studying. I wasn't having eggs. I wasn't having dairy. And I just don't think dairy is good overall, and that children don't need dairy. And I had never gave them dairy. And my 4-year-old did have sensitivity to dairy. When I would drink dairy or even eat some chocolate and breastfeed her, she would have like bright green poop.
Wow.
Because yeah. So that was like what the pediatrician told me. Even though mainstream pediatricians would tell you that you should give your kids dairy, she told me, if this green poop is her being sensitive to dairy, and also what it shows is that you don't process dairy well, and you're not breaking down the dairy, but so it's coming out in your breast milk, and then it's passing to her in bigger molecules, and then she's not digesting well, and that's why she's having this problem. So you have to take dairy completely out, and it's not just taking out the milk, right, or the yogurt. It's like anything that has dairy, just reading the labels, making sure that there was no dairy. So I was already doing that since she was born, and then I was doing the egg, and I was like, you know what, like, and then my daughter started saying, oh, I'm worried about the animals, and I don't think, when I eat animals. I said, why don't check? I'm a child, I have no power. I said, you do have a power. You have a power to not eat it. And if you don't eat it, like they say, less animals will be killed. So I said, let's go vegan. And everybody agreed. And we did. We went vegan. And I think in the beginning, it was very empowering for my daughter. And it was great. I mean, it's like almost like when you first fall in love, with someone, and you're so excited. And you're learning all the new things, and you're feeling so good, about everything. Right. Of course, all that fiber, in the beginning, there was like our stomachs getting used to it, but we never had any pain, any discomfort, really, just maybe more gas that was going on. But then as the time progressed, I started seeing that on my daughter, on my 10-year-old, what I was talking about earlier, her worry about eating foods. And then now I started when my little one was like a year and a half. And now she was older, and now she was, eating more solids. And she was asking for the egg and eating the egg. When we started eating animal products again, when I started buying eggs, she would want to eat 5 eggs. I think that she thought that there wasn't going to be any more and that she just wanted more. And I would have to say, no, if you still want more later, maybe you can have more later, because I was like, I don't think this is not good to eat all, that at the same time for a small child, especially.
And
Now
and
it's, huh?
and the cholesterol and the saturated fat. What about what have you tried doing the just egg? You can buy it in the store. I know it's more expensive.
Oh, yeah, we did that. I did so many things. I did the scrambled tofu, with the what is it called? The salt,
Oh, the samok.
yeah,
Yeah,
that tastes a little bit like, smells like egg, right?
right.
So I did that, and they would eat it, but it still, wouldn't. I didn't do it for her. I bought the just egg. We would do that. And then my husband too. There was another thing. Like sometimes, like if we went to somebody's, barbecue or things like that, then my kids didn't want like a mushroom burger. Like that's the stuff that I can have and be fine, but they're not going to want it. And we do the veggie patties too. That's just veggie, but we did try some of the alternative. And my husband's like, I don't want the alternatives. Like I don't want, this fake like meat. Like you said, I think that's better to have. I think that's better to have grass-fed, grass-finished. I feel more comfortable with that. It felt like it's out of nature, and I feel more comfortable having that sometimes than having the fake meat. And for me, in my opinion, as I continue to research more and more, there's a lot of people that have studied way more than me, that I feel like are way more knowledgeable than me in nutrition and health, that have different opinions. Some people that say that, it's okay for you to eat the grass-fed, grass-finished, and all that. And other people that I also respect that say that's not. My new doctor, which I do respect her a lot, I think that she get a lot of results treating chronic skin disease and autoimmune disease that have to do with skin. She specializes in that. She told me, she said, if you're vegan because of your skin, she said, in my opinion, I don't think that's make that great of a difference. She said, I want to see you taking it out gluten. So so for me, I was like, okay. So I listened to that. I continued to study. I continued to read. And I made the decision that, you know what? One thing that I know for sure, that I feel like that I know for sure, that there is a consensus that goes around with the naturopaths that I respect and believe that they know what they're talking about. And also all the books, that I read that are, saying you must be 100% vegan to be healthy. The conclusion that I got for me is that everybody knows that eating as much as you can of fruits and vegetables, whole foods, and fiber. That's what I get. That's one of the most important things. So what I decide to concentrate with my kids are eating a lot of, they eat pretty much all fruits and vegetables. They will have a big salad and be happy. 2 days ago, what do you have for dinner? We had rice, beans, collard greens. I made a green salad too, and then I did some roasted vegetables, and that's what we had. Another days, yes, I bought a whole free range chicken, I did make that, and they had that, and they had, you know, also a bunch of vegetables and a bunch of salad. I never want to go back to what I used to be. We used to think that I used to believe this way. I mean, I'm Brazilian. So in Brazil, you have gone to those Brazilian steakhouse or heard about it. It's crazy. Like when I told my mom I was vegan, she's like, what are you going to do? You know, you're going to come to Brazil? What am I going to tell people? Are we going to feed you? I'm like, calm down. It's okay. My friends are like, we still love you, you know? I never want to go back. I never want to go back to that mindset. I never want to go back thinking that I need to eat animal products in every meal, that if I don't have chicken or beef or something in the meal, that's not complete. But in the same time, I don't want to have prohibited foods to my children anymore. I am afraid of what that could cause to them in the future. I have a friend that she was telling me about another friend of hers, and I haven't met her friend, but I guess she was just so they weren't vegan, but they were very careful. They had a garden. They only ate from their garden. They talk about all the time pesticides, organic, and all that. And then her kid went to college, and he couldn't eat in the cafeteria. He couldn't eat at college, and he just stopped eating and ended up having to go to the psychologist at college. She had to go there. Ended up the kid left college because he had to go home and treat himself because he was losing so much weight and now didn't have any nutrition because he couldn't eat because he thought, I'm going to be so unhealthy if I eat these foods.
And he probably would have been.
Yes, but I feel like too, like another thing for me is like, you know, food is more than just, it is nutrition. And I think that that's mainly what it has to be looked at. But disordered eating is a real thing, even though, you know, it might not look as anorexic or different things like that, but obsessing about what you're eating and being healthy and then not being able to enjoy life, because food is supposed to be enjoyable too, and it is a part of our social life and all of that, you know.
But
so
there's disordered eating in every type of diet you can find, whether it's I mean, think about who most people are. Most people eat meat and chicken and fish, and there's a lot of disordered eating. I used to go to a gym called World Gym, and those people were high protein, all animal protein, low carb, and they had the most, horrible, like extremist views, like they couldn't eat a carb, and then when they couldn't see their six-pack, they would get depressed. And I saw girls crying in the bathroom because their stomach wasn't super flat and they couldn't see their rib cage anymore. So it doesn't have, like, a vegan diet it doesn't mean a person's going to be have a disordered eating pattern. And a lot of it has to do with peer pressure, and we really can't give into peer pressure. Like, just think about in high school, we're like, oh, you do want to try this cigarette? We're all smoking cigarettes, oh, we're all drinking. And we got to not follow along with the crowd. We got to do what we think is right. And like, dairy is absolutely, you're right, is the worst thing. And it's really unfortunate that these doctors, they actually are not taught nutrition in schools. They think the little amount that they were taught was sufficient. But what they are actually taught is they're taught to diagnose, and they're taught to do surgeries and give medication. They have very little information that they can help us. And what triggers autoimmune conditions, and autoimmune conditions are basically everything out there. They're rheumatoid arthritis, they're food allergies, they're eczema, they're multiple sclerosis and lupus and cancer. Those, I mean, it goes on and on. All those are all autoimmune conditions, and they're finding out more and more that the dairy and the animal products, and sometimes the gluten, is what triggers these autoimmune conditions. For instance, the more animal products they eat, the more these are acids, they're high in protein. all proteins are acidic. And so the more proteins you eat, the more acid you have in your body, the more inflammatory your body becomes. And so the more inflammation you have, the more likely you're going to have, a diagnosis of cancer or some other really horrible condition. And that creates a system of leaky gut. So with a leaky gut, these proteins that you're consuming go outside and where they shouldn't belong. They'll hit the pancreas and the spinal cord and the joints. And that's when people start getting these autoimmune conditions. So the less of these animal products we eat, the better. And there's a really excellent book. It's called The China Study by Colin T. Campbell. And I know you're really interested in learning. That's an excellent book. And he's got all this data. He was employed by the NIH, the National Institutes of Health in the United States, to do research around the world. And he was shocked to find that when a person consumes over 10% of protein from animal products, they increase their risk of all disease. And so he found that if it's over 10% fat, so that he's the one that came up with the 80% carbs, 80% carbs, 10% fat, 10% protein is a good round. Those are good numbers for people to try to put their all their food into that little bucket. So if somebody wants to eat an animal product, as long as they keep those numbers lower, that will reduce their chances of becoming ill. And so I thought that was really fascinating. But the thing is, there's so few vegans that eat not only, whole food, plant-based diet, there's just so few of us that we really can't even do a real good study to find out, is it 80-10-10 or is it 100%, vegan? We just don't have that information. But the other thing is too, for kids, I think the good thing to show them is that it's not just chicken, it's a bird. And I know kids, they care about animals. I think we show them, this is what happens, that cute little bird has to die. And, we don't normally, we want to be like everyone else, and we don't want to eat differently. But the thing is, we have to, take care of ourselves first. And then when we find out, it's awful to find out oh, that animal died for me. That's kind of awful. But I know it's hard because, you're dealing with something I never even thought about, that's really tough. And you don't want your kids to feel different. But the thing is, I'm totally different than everyone else because I was born with a rare dairy allergy. So I always considered myself to be different, and I didn't have a choice. I couldn't eat what everyone else was eating because it would make me sick. I would throw up and from the smallest amount of dairy. And so I would go to pizza parties and I couldn't eat pizza. And back then we didn't even think about just marinara sauce and on the pizza. But the thing is, my allergy is so severe, I can't even touch it. If that spatula touched the cheese and then I touch it, I would get super sick. So I would go to pizza parties and I would have a soda. That's it. And I hated it and it sucked. But nowadays it's well, now you can, if they don't have an allergy, they could still have the pizza just with a marinara. So there are ways, and I totally get what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. But we shouldn't pander to other people.
But we did it though. We did it, and we also, I do not care about being like other people. We are so different in so many ways. We are conservative Christians. We homeschool. We are minority. A lot of ideas that we have, it's we would be, a little bit looked as okay, they're weird, or they're so conservative. Or can you still hear me?
Yeah, I made a huge
noise. Okay,
yeah.
I don't know, my earphone made a weird noise. But so we are definitely very different, I would say, from the main masses, and we believe a lot of different things. My view in education, my view about vaccination, my view about other things are not mainstream at all. And then, there was the vegan thing. So it wasn't I didn't care that we were going to be looked at like, oh, why don't you eat, you know? And you're right, there is a push. There is a peer of like, oh, you know, you guys are here, but what are you guys going to eat? Like I said, even especially for my family, you know, being Brazilian and all that. But I stand, you know, firm in what I believe. And I was like, this is what we're trying right now. This is what we are doing. However, when it comes to the points that I see psychological things, like I worked for Weight Watchers for a while, and there's a lot of shame, and I'm sure that you know about that. There's a lot of psychology. I saw they interviewed Marcy, psychologist on your channel here too, and talked about the psychology side of things. And it's the human brain is like very, you know, it's very complicated, and there's a lot of shame that can be shame involving eating. And I really, for me, mainly, I want my kids to be overall healthy. And I think drinking water, going outside and getting vitamin D from the sun, eating lots of different fruits and vegetables. You know, we have a CSA we sign up for, we get a basket of fruits and vegetables, we start washing and eating out of that. Sometimes that's like a whole lunch is just to eat out of the basket the first day that we get. We, you know, concentrating on the fiber, learning that we don't need to eat animals, that's not necessary to eat for us to survive and for us to thrive. And then learning that we can enjoy our things, and then learning to read our bodies. You know, I always say, think about it, wait 10 more minutes. Are you full? Are you not? And then some foods, I don't mind saying, like, you know, candy, like this dyes, that should be legal, that they put on candy, you know, kids' candies. I'm like, no, we're going to get a healthier choice, you know.
Right.
We're talking about it this year. I think like this is the last year we do trick-or-treating, because I just feel like there's nothing good about this. There's nothing good. And then right after Halloween, you have all these kids that are sick with a cold because all their immune system have gone so down from eating candy, even if it's no vegan candy or not vegan candy. So I think that, like, for me, it was like about finding a balance in a place where we feel good. And I also found out that I couldn't eat gluten. So for me, it was like, okay, now I'm gonna take the gluten also too. So now they're not even eating pizza and I believe gluten is also not good for anyone if I have to make a choice, you know. So like now they're not eating pizza at all. And another thing that happened to us that I forgot to say that always had me question though, because it was like when you see something with your eyes, like you have had experience with yourself and eating vegan and your health and all that. And before I haven't thought about being vegan. When my 10-year-old daughter, when she was 2 years old, she would wake up all the time with yuckiness, like just mucus and all that, like in her eyes. Her eyes around looked so red, looked like someone had punched her in the eyes. And her pediatrician, and right here, like a good pediatrician group, like in La Jolla, would just say, you need to give her Claritin. Have you been giving her Claritin every day for a month? That's why she's not getting better. That's what she needs. And I'm like, no, that's not what she needs. I said, I'm not going to give my 2-year-old Claritin every day. Oh, she has allergies. And it could be a series of environmental allergies. And that's how she's going to get better. And I was like, no, this doesn't sit right with me. So I looked for a naturopath. I took her to a naturopath, Dr. Rommel. And the naturopath did the food sensitivity test with her and came out that she had sensitivity to everything. Gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, everything. And she said, your daughter has leaky gut. When someone has that many sensitivities, it's because they have leaky gut. I'm like, she's 2. How can she cause leaky gut? And what we know about now too, like leaky gut can not only be caused because of the foods that you're eating, but if you have to take a lot of antibiotics.
Yes.
If while you are giving birth, you had to take, if you have strep B and you have to be taking antibiotics for that, your baby could be born already with leaky gut because of the antibiotics that the baby received through you. Stress can cause leaky gut. Um, so she was only 2. She was only eating veggies, and like I breastfed for a long time. Then I just gave, as I always learned to like give all the vegetables first, so to make sure that they would eat vegetables later, and the ones that are not sweet, so they don't just get that sweet palate right away. So we were doing all of that, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So we went on and this is going to sound crazy, especially like as a vegan perspective. And I was like, even as I started studying more about vegan, I'm like, gosh, like, I don't understand, but I cured her leaky gut, but she went on a protocol of, it was 10 months. She could not have any of those foods. So, and for me, in my house, it's like, if I'm going to be vegan, everybody's going to be vegan. If she's going on this protocol and she's not having soy, she's not having dairy, she's not having eggs, we are all not having it. Except, of course, like I said, in parties, I would let my other kids have it, but for her, I would take her own diet, like vegan, pizza.
Yeah.
So we did all the protocol. We did everything correctly because, like you said, in this case, it was a health thing. So I told her, for your health, you cannot have it. She was so strong. She really did it. And even sometimes I would feel bad for her. I'm like, okay, like if you want to have it, because I know I wouldn't kill her. Right. And she's like, no, mommy, like the doctor said I shouldn't have it. I'm not going to have it.
That's impressive.
She's she's, because like I said, she's that child. I'm going to
Television.
she can get obsessed of being like, do the correct thing, if you tell her.
Yeah.
So we did it, but she was taking a glutamine, in a type of like a shake that was thing. And so we should give her broth, the bone broth, the grass-fed bone broth, and all that. So it was that diet. And for me, it was like, okay, I wasn't reading all the vegan literature, that stuff yet. I just had come from nutrition that I know from, like I said, mainstream college. So she believed in that. I did the protocol, as she told me. My daughter, her eyes got completely clear, got completely better. We did again the test, it was completely gone. All her sensitivities were gone. We started introducing the foods slowly, like a week each one, and seeing if she was gonna have any reaction to one of them. She did not have any reaction to one of them. She has never gone back to that. I believe her leaky gut was cured. The protocol did work. Did that stop me from becoming vegan and believe everything that I do believe, though, about, the meat industry and all that? Would I continue feeding my kids beef broth? I don't think so. I'm not going to go back to have that diet.
Yeah.
But it did make me think, wow, like just more I study and more I think I know, more confused I get, and less I know. More I know, more I see that I don't know.
Yeah, it's so true. And even, the doctors that I really respect, there's certain things that I say, I wonder, because, for instance, people like here's an example. I had, so I've been gluten-free and I haven't had bread in like 30 years or maybe even more. And so we bought a package of a gluten-free dough and we made it from scratch and we made our own pizzas. And I was like, yum, it was so good. And then I had like 2 days and then I skipped it, and then we had it again a couple days later. And within 2 hours of eating this delicious gluten-free bread, my fingers and my toes started swelling up red. And the next day I couldn't type on my computer and it hurt to walk. It took 9 days for it to go away. And so I was thinking, this is crazy. So I looked at the ingredient list. It's like, it was white rice. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Potato starch, that's fine. Xanthan gum. I'm like, what is that? So I looked it up. It's a bacteria and it can be from a multitude of sources. And then I kept searching, it said inflammatory. So people who are inflammatory foods, even if they're vegan or not, can be problematic. And a lot of those tests, like when I was a child, I had so many of the tic-tac-toe boards on my arm and on my back, and they would inject the protein in there, and it said I was allergic to everything. Those are not actually all that accurate. And so what can be a problem for one person is not a problem for the other person. But what's interesting is our bodies aren't typically that attuned. So we can be allergic to something and not know it. And over time, by continually eating these foods, we may not see the cancer or the rheumatoid arthritis or the lupus until, we're 30 or 50 or 60. And it's just like a buildup over time. So I don't know if you know this, but my dad, he died from MS. And at the time, we had no idea what happened. We thought it was a virus. We thought it was the Epstein-Barr virus that triggered it. Well, that can, they call it like a triggering effect. But what they say, I think it's like loading the gun. Well, the dairy and the excess of fat. So if you have more than 10% fat, that can trigger MS. And so we didn't know. And so when he went to a retirement home, they were feeding him more dairy, and they were feeding him more chicken and more of that stuff. And he died within a year. And so because of what I'm seeing is so many people getting sick, it's like this, you might be fine now, but so many people are getting, like all these famous people too. Look at Christina Applegate. She had a double mastectomy. We're like, okay, great, she's cured. And then she got MS, and it's just like, that's the problem is I want to help people from getting sick. And that's why I'm trying to spread the word. And it's really hard, like you said, because when everyone else is doing it, you kind of forget like how that the stuff really is harmful if you're not like following the doctors who are really studying nutrition. So if you want, I can definitely send you the names of some really good doctors, and you can read the books and decide for yourself. But
I have read Dr. McGregor, have read the China study actually.
Oh, you have?
I have the Start Solution.
Yeah,
I have read all those books. I got this one book, and it has kind of a weird title that kind of like bothers me a little bit, but it's by Amy. Actually have it right here. Amy Shaw, MD, and she's she comes from an Indian family. She lives here in the United States. She's American, and she just studied a lot about women's health, and she talks about a lot of things: intermediate fasting, fiber, microbiome, and our gut, and our circum clock, right?
circadian clock.
And she kind of like has her own diet. I like reading her book. Decided out, it was also one of the things that made me decide, you know what, I think I'm going to be a little bit more flexible in what I'm doing. She did the food pyramid. Sorry, there's things that I can't pronounce correct. So if you want to correct my pronunciation, that's fine.
I think you're talking about the food pyramid.
Yeah, so she did it in her own, like what she would suggest it, right? It would be.
Right.
And she put on the very top, in the minimum, that we can have. That's where she put meat.
Okay.
And sweets. And I'm like, you know what? I like that.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like that's something that I'm not telling my kids. No, for me to obsess about, obsess meaning I like to do. I'm a nerd about that stuff. I like to read all the books. I like to feel empowered. And if it was just me and I wanted to continue, I also say I'm going to be vegan for the rest of my life, or when they're adults, if they want to do it, I'm going to say, go for it. I would never say what I said to me, oh, it's bad. Are you sure this is healthy? Say, yes, it is healthy. I can understand and appreciate much more the being whole foods, plant-based whole foods, than like people that say, they're carnivores. Like that for me, it's like, okay, I'm not even really completely interested in reading that literature. of the
Right.
things like that, because I just have enough time to read some. But what the whole holistic approach that she's suggesting in this book about even like hormone imbalance and woman studies and her experience that she has had with her clients and the diet that she kind of suggests in here, and the fast that she suggests, I like that. And that's how I'm trying to right now live my life and teach my kids. I never turn to my kids and say, like I tell them, like, oh, those deli meats, like they're not healthy. I still tell them that. It's not that I'm gonna lie to them that things are healthy. I'm not gonna lie that to them,
Yeah.
We don't go to fast food places, burger places, but I tell them, you know what, like we are buying this good meat from this farm that we're seeing the cow. You guys want to have some? We can have some. That should not be the bulk of us eating. And so I'm teaching them, like, there's a lot of like what I just told you, I guess, that some people that I respect believe this way. Like Gianna really ended up building, a little bit of, she liked that doctor that helped her, and the doctor did help her. I don't think that the doctor like is completely right in some things that she believes in. I don't agree with her. In other things, I'm willing to say that I don't know everything that there is to know. Yeah, I do like the Dr. McGregor, like the app where you can eat all those vegetables, and those nuts. What is it?
The Daily Dozen. Have another really a doctor that I think you might want to check out. He's not like pro anything. He's all about science, and his name is Dr. Neil Barnard.
Oh, yeah, I have.
Yeah, and he has a wonderful book called Your Hormones in Balance. And he had a woman who she wanted a child, and they were gonna. You'll find it on YouTube. It's an amazing story where she was gonna have surgery, and I'm trying to remember what the surgery was. I think they were basically just gonna remove all the female parts. It was horrible. And he said, try this diet. And they retested her, and she was clear, and they didn't do the surgery. She was on the table. They were going to do surgery, and they said, we don't need to anymore. And it was all from changing her diet. And he explained that what happens when you have you're eating the animal products, and of course dairy is the worst, is it's these are hormones you're eating. And that's why women have thyroid issues. And when you're eating, the animals are given hormones, one to lower the amount of disease and viruses and all that, but also to make them fatter. So we eat them, and we're eating these chemicals, these antibiotics, and then it increases our estrogens, and then that's horrible for women and for everybody. So it's that's his book, Dr. Neil Barnard, Your Hormones in Balance, is a fantastic book to read. But since you went vegan for your health, that's totally awesome. And that's why a lot of people did it, and that's why we did it. Did you watch the movie The Game Changers?
Yes, I did watch the movie, and I loved the movie. And that was the movie that I showed my husband, so he would agree to go vegan.
Yeah,
and he did.
That's what
he did agree to go vegan. Yeah,
so,
I think it's important to tell everyone though, like too, that like holding your receipts is sprouts. Like when they give you the receipt, that's imbalances your estrogen, like imbalances your hormone. Like when I had to go in a serious like hormone watch, because after giving birth to my second child, my hormones are crazy. Literally, the naturopath, the list that she gave it to me, it was like crazy. Like she's like, don't touch the receipt, because that type of paper actually change your hormones, like the makeup, the
you go to the store and they give you that receipt, and that paper that it's on is toxic. We're not supposed to get. I know, that's really fascinating and horrifying. I know, when a person who gives me a bill, it's like, don't touch it.
Yeah, like I kept saying, like, it's not, they think they don't want to touch what they touch. They think they're just like, but it's like, no, it's not that. It's like, I don't need a receipt. Yeah, like I don't want to hold it. Now sometimes when I'm busy and I end up giving to one of my children to hold it, I'm like, no, I can't, I don't want to give it to you to hold it. But I noticed that like it was so easy for me to start start being like, like we have diffusers in every room. We have air purifier in every room, what are the type of mattress I'm going to buy? What are the shampoos we're going to use? And I have to watch out because there's these little people watching me and I don't want them to be afraid of life, but I can easily just be like, and then it's okay for us to do that, but, we can't, this has this toxin. There's so many toxins. And I think that a lot of things are also trade-off because also what I learned is if I'm going to be so stressed and so scared of what I'm going to eat or the environment around me, that's also going to affect my microbiome. That's also going to affect my health big time. And sometimes like, I have like people in my life, like, my father-in-law, like that eats pretty much everything, drink his wine all the time, like, and it's still, I mean, I don't know what's going on inside of him.
Yeah, but he's overweight and he's on medication. So yeah, that's the thing.
He says he's not on any medication. That's what he says.
Oh yeah, he is. But
you know more than I know, but don't have to talk about that.
Oh yeah, I dig. Like, oh really? You're so healthy. But yeah, and it's so there's this family which I adore. They're called the Esselstyns. I don't know if you've heard of them. So Rip is the son and he has these plant strong foods. I started buying them and that way, like there's no oil. So they're nice and healthy. And his father was in charge of the Mayo Clinic. But anyways, all their children, they brought them up vegan. And they said, the dad said or maybe it was the son, that in the house, everything that they had was vegan. But if the kids wanted to do something on their own, and get a burger, that was beyond their control. And they weren't going, they already educated the kids. This is why it's bad. But if you want to eat that, that's up to you. And they, so they would do that. And this other, I think, they said that, I think it was the McDougalls. And I think they said that like I think it was like the daughter, the son, they went out to a party and they had like a cheese pizza and they're like, oh, Mom, I had cheese pizza. And she's like, all right. And the kid says, I feel horrible. But yeah, I mean, you can control what you have in the house. That way, I think that was really smart to me. Like that way you have the flexibility in your home, you have what you know is good. And that way, when you go out to other events, then everyone can choose whatever they want. I thought that was kind of a nice little balance. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing before. I never told them like, like she was going to grandpa's house and asking for eggs. I'm like, give her eggs,
But aren't you concerned about the cholesterol in the eggs?
Oh, but that was the rule, right? Anytime she was not here, that wasn't in my house. I didn't buy eggs in my house. So you're saying, like I was saying, you're saying there was a good balance, but I was saying I did do that. That's what I was doing at first. When we were vegan, I wasn't buying eggs.
Right.
But then she's walking over there because that's not my house. And I say over there because, they live right there, next door.
Because when I was growing up, my mom, like if I would go to someone's house, she would tell the parents without me being there, okay, she cannot have this. I don't want her having this, this, and this because she's going to get sick. My situation is different because I would be sick and I could be hospitalized. But she told me that later, and then my mom would ahead of time, she would give them like a bag of my favorite dairy-free cookies, and that way when other kids were having cookies, I could have cookies. I could have my own cookies. And it's interesting. People would be like, well, what are you eating? And they would want to try some of my food. And then, so sometimes I would give them stuff and other times I'd be like, no, this is mine. You can't have it. Eat your own food.
Right. Yeah, we did some of that too. But yeah, we are happy now. And I'm in peace with my decision. I feel like I'm never going to stop researching and reading because it's just something that I enjoy and I like to do. And I made a decision that I'm going to concentrate more in the good things that we can do. And even as, I was working with a friend of mine and kind of coaching her, in health, and she's like, I'm not ready for you to take anything away from me. She said I'm in a very, sensitive place right now. And I was vegan, so she was afraid I was going to take away from her. And I said, no, it's okay. We can start working on, can you say, okay, let's have 20 different fruits and vegetables, a week, and put the rainbow in your cart. And are you willing to not count calories, but count fiber? Can you have 30 grams of fiber a day? And I know that's a lot of fiber, but it's a good amount of fiber. So can we start thinking of the things that you are going to do? Can you make, a huge, put as much as you can greens, inside of your blender and really just press it in there, and then put a little bit of fruit, very little bit of fruit, and put some water, and can you start drinking one of those a day? And she's like, okay, I'm willing to do those things. And what I was in my mind is, okay, I'm not telling you that you cannot have it, but I know that if you are eating 30 grams of fiber and you're eating that much vegetables and you're having that, you're not going to leave a lot of room to fill yourself up with junk. And if you're trying to pay attention to the signs, why are you eating? Are you eating because you're bored? Are you eating because of those things? So at my house, I decided that's what I'm going to concentrate on. I'm going to concentrate on us having those things, us getting a big basket of vegetables, us enjoying those things. I try to have a garden, I kill all the plants, but like I told them.
Did you get that idea of the green smoothie from Dr. Brooke Goldner?
Maybe there is I forgot the name of the doctor, but that was not my idea. And it is, they have a challenge on Facebook. And they have a podcast.
Did you watch her videos? She's got.
Yes, she had the disease. Is it thyroid disease that she had? What it was? She turned her immune.
Lupus.
Okay, yes. But actually her husband, right, also works with her.
Her husband's a trainer.
He's a trainer. So I think I heard
he's he's the one who introduced her to this diet. And so she eats a high raw diet. She eats tofu and this big green smoothie every day, and she helps people get rid of lupus. And what's interesting that, these people who have these severe conditions, they can't do moderation. They can't have a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
They get extreme pain and they can't get out of bed. And we know it's from animal products. So it's a lot of people don't believe it because there's so many people are pushing the opposite agenda.
Yeah, but too, there's some people that they don't have any animal products, but all that they had, I had a friend like that. She's, all that she had was French fries and processed stuff, Oreo cookies and all that. You're still gonna get sick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If that's what you're eating. So more and more that I like their idea, and it is from them. I didn't remember their name, but yes, the thing about adding something, tell your clients to have this smoothie every day and try to do the things that they can add, and then it's going to leave them less room for the unhealthy. And then I like also listening to. I enjoy listening to Herberman Lab. I don't know if you ever heard him. He does meet Herberman Lab. He's a doctor from Stanford, and he talks a lot about optimizing, but he's not vegan. He's not vegan at all. What I said that I like about Amy Shaw is because I feel like she's in the not even in the middle. I mean, she puts she put animal products in the very top of the pyramid. Dr. Herberman wouldn't do that. He would say it's okay for you just to have a steak for dinner. But I'm open to listen to the other things that I like that he said. Dr. McGregory has said things about vaccination that I don't agree. But I still listen to him on what he thinks about blueberries and the antioxidants, and putting cinnamon in my apple is going to bring me so much more antioxidant than I was before. And I love those things. I think I actually I bought How Not to Die. for me and a
right.
friend. I think that you heard that
I
I
have
gave
that book
that.
too. And some of that stuff, it's like, well, yeah, it's good to have cinnamon, I can't even pronounce that word, cinnamon and turmeric and, all the different spices are good, but they're not going to make a difference. I mean, they're an extra little boost. And, you can eat a horrible diet of soda and French fries and burgers, and adding the cinnamon and the
Oh
curcumin
yeah.
and turmeric is not going to make a difference. Like if you have a really good diet, whole food plant-based diet, and then you add that, well, cool, that's even better. But that's a lot of people think, oh, I just have this pill, I just have this spice, and I'm going to be good. It's like, no.
Yeah. Or as I started being vegan, when I was starting being vegan, I was like looking for everyone, on YouTube to follow, especially families that were doing it to have ideas. And I saw this one family that's just like, we can have everything, but just vegan, and sitting like all day, like the fake hot dog, the fake meat, the fries, just like that's all they ate. And I was like, nope, next video, because that's not, what I'm gonna do. I know that that's not healthy. That can't be healthy.
And then I try to teach other vegans that the oils are really unhealthy. You can be vegan and be a type 2 diabetic, because when you have more than 15% of your diet with fats, even if it's almonds, healthy almonds and walnuts, that increases your chances of insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance, and pre-diabetes, then being a diabetic. Too much fat of any type, there's obviously worse fats than others. Pork fat's probably the worst. But yeah, I try to teach people that a little bit of the fake meat is okay on occasion, a little bit of sugar, okay. And so we don't have to be crazy restrictive unless we're really sick. But a lot of people think, oh, vegan's good. It's like vegans can get heart disease too, and vegans can get cancer, and they do. But that's why it's like plant-based all around. And that's why I try to get people to look at those numbers. Like put your information into an app. Like my favorite is the chronometer. And that way you can put all your food in every day, and you can look at your fat, right? And then I don't worry about the saturated fat. I just look for total fat. I try to keep mine, because I'm type 1 diabetic, I try to keep mine around 10%, but most people can go up to 15% total fat per day. And that way you can play with the food, and then you can have a little bit of cheat here and there, as long as you keep those numbers on average down.
I was using that for fiber, the chronometer. I think 10% of fat, I think that's good too. 10%, 15%. I don't track anymore. I tracked for so long of my life and everything when I had a weight problem.
People don't realize how much fat is in like even skinless chicken breast. I was like, whoa. And I was eating like the skinless chicken breast, and I was eating tilapia, and I was just measuring, I was weighing my proteins before I went vegan. And then I realized, even though I was eating so low fat, my fat percentage was around 35 to 40%. I was like, whoa, no wonder I had trouble losing weight. And I was like trying to reduce more and more and more, and I could not get the weight off. And it was really frustrating. And so once I decided, all right, I'm going to try this new program, the 80-10-10, and eat 80% carbs, and then figure out everything else. And I usually don't do any nuts now, and I just do a little bit of seeds, and the weight just came off. And I never thought I could have a flat stomach. And now I just stuff myself with like potatoes, which are super low in fat, and I can be full and eat more and not worry about gaining weight anymore, which is really nice.
That is really nice. Yeah. I remember, that was one of the things that I was always saying when I was eating vegan. They're like, oh, I feel like this food that I'm eating, I can eat as much as I want and I don't have to wait. And some people said to me, I don't understand it, because my friend said, I hate thinking about food, and that's hard for me. I said, actually, this frees you from having to think so much about food, because you choose, this is what I'm gonna eat, and this is health. This is all whole foods, and I'm gonna eat a lot of vegetables and potatoes, and I don't know. I eat grains. I know some people don't, but and grains, and I'm not gonna worry, and I don't have to worry because I'm not gonna. And now I'm living on the other side of falling a little bit more of this doctor that I told you about, and I am also happy, and I'm fine, and I feel like my kids. My daughter stopped going around asking for eggs. She's not eating 5 eggs. She's not even eating eggs every day. Now it's fine or whatever. If it's like once a week, she's fine. She's gonna have it. And eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. We still do, no milk is coming into this house.
Yeah.
No dairy or goat is never coming here too. So we do the coconut stuff or the almond stuff and some of it because water is fine. Nobody needs
We don't even
water.
tell people to, eat any coconut because it's just high in saturated fat. Again, that's like a plant food. That's just something that's really unhealthy. But yeah, I would say like when
Kids
people
needs more. They do need more, like they need more fat for their brain. They're growing and their brain's growing and they need it. They
right,
do
well,
like the brain likes fat.
right,
Our
but
brain
the thing
likes
is, I would rather the parents just, I mean, there's fat and everything, but I would rather them give them a couple more almonds, a couple more walnuts, give them avocado. That's, but, and you don't want the coconut. And the coconut is something like you have a dessert and you sprinkle some coconut on top. That's really good. But yeah, I was trying to think. Oh, so let's say somebody comes to you and they have like MS, like my dad, or rheumatoid arthritis, and these are conditions that really they can't have. If they have any animal products whatsoever, they're going to have triggers, and they're not going to get well. There's some people they have to be 100%. So if you were going to like try to convince somebody to be vegan who's ill because they have to be, what would you say to them to convince them
to be vegan.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would like necessarily try to like completely convince someone, because I think that's really, if people don't have the idea for themselves, they usually are not going to do it, or they're not going to do it long term and be successful.
but
So
they
I feel
don't
like
but they don't know. A lot of people are told by the doctor that these like heart disease is irreversible. MS and lupus are irreversible, but they are. They are reversible with diet. And this information is not widely known.
Yeah, I would, I would tell them my opinion. I could suggest some books because I feel like there are more people, like we're saying, like the book, the China Study, all those books, those people are more reputable than me. I feel like I studied nutrition 10 years ago and I'm a homeschooling mother and I can have something to say, but I don't know if people, especially if somebody didn't know me, didn't know, my own lifestyle, like if they would completely listen, they can listen to what I'm saying, but I'm not as reputable as a doctor and as someone that has done tons of research. I would not try to debate with Dr. McGregor. I would try to go on his and try to have a debate with him. I would like, I respect, what you have. I have not done that much study, but just my idea, personal. But we are healthy. We are very healthy family. Thank God. I know, like I said, I'm not in denial that there are foods that are really dangerous for you. Some are more than others. I think that some things should be prohibited, like the chemicals and coloring, food coloring, children's candy should not even be allowed.
Yeah.
Or deli meat, some stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would try to convince someone. I don't think I could put myself in that place. Maybe if I was working more doing it, you know what I mean? But right now, I'm not working as a health coach or a nutritionist.
So what I do is, I just find it, I don't want any more people to die, because if someone has MS, they're on their way to death. If someone has lupus, they're going to die if they don't, make some changes. And so what I tell them is, if you have lupus, check out Dr. Brooke Goldner. If you have MS, check out
Mhm.
Dr. McDougall, because these doctors have reversed these conditions. And, if you have heart disease, check out Dr. Esselson's. So it's like, I feel like it's my duty to at least share just a little tidbit, at least send them in the right direction. And if they follow it or not, that's up to them, because people are
Right.
going to do whatever they want to
Yeah.
do. And it's their choice
Okay.
to eat in a certain way.
You would do the same thing then. You would kind of like the same thing that I would tell them, go check out this person. I had a friend that had cancer. I do believe, I don't know if you ever see the series, The Truth About Cancer. I believe in them, and they do talk about a lot in there, like about being completely vegan, taking out animals, juicing, and they talk about all the Oriental medicine and the acupuncture and all that, and not going into the system. People go into the system and start doing the medical, there's crazy things that I have heard. It's like, I have
Yeah.
a friend right now. She fought a lot of breast cancer for years. It kept coming back. She had to do a double, mastectomy.
Yeah.
And
Horrible.
then now she was like, I had to go have a biopsy in my uterus. And I was like, wow, what's going on? Do you think it's cancer? She's like, yeah, it's a funny thing. The medicine I'm supposed to be on for 5 years to prevent my breast cancer to come back can give you uterus cancer,
Yeah.
which is more deadly, to me. And I'm like, what? That's
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
It's like she hasn't gone vegan, like she still drinks wine.
Yeah.
So I would tell, like, go watch the Truth About Cancer. Oh, conspiracy stuff, it's fine. We have been eating those things, for, for years and this and that. So I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to,
Yeah.
I'm just going to love you. I'm just going to, it's
Yeah.
really hard, but there's,
Yeah, some people you cannot convince. And so it's like if I've given people several pieces of information and they choose not to watch it or listen to it, then I'm not going to send them any more information because it's just going to upset me and it's going to upset them. And as long as I gave them the information, it's up to them to do whatever they want to do with it.
yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
can always have a vegan meal together one day. And my
Yeah.
family will love it because we're not, also like I have friends that they were like not invite us over. They're like, oh, what are we gonna eat when we come to our house? I had a kid's birthday party and I made just like a vegan chili and I did have even like tortilla chips, things that are like as a party,
Yeah.
veggie, so people could put like the vegan chili on the tortilla chips. It was a kid's party and carrots and vegetables and stuff. And a friend of mine said, I know, I told my kids we are going to a party at Carolina's house and you better eat because it's not going to have food there. They're not going to have food like that you like to eat. So eat before you're coming. So because her kid was like having a feed and was kind of hungry. And
Yeah.
I didn't get offended. I was just like, it's fine, whatever. Like, she's like, I told them it's going to be like at your grandparents' house, who the grandparents are kind of have healthy problems. So they became vegan. But I'm like, yeah, some people they're so far from understanding. That's what I find, that if you can just and I do like this that Dr. McGregor says, and also follow plant-based juniors. They're two registered dietitians that they talk a lot on Instagram and they're raising their kids vegan. But they say, they're like, I bought their book and stuff, and they say, we are very open to where people are. And if they just start eating more fruits and vegetables, because some people are so far from that, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And we know that they're going to be healthier. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
that's
think that the reason why, I could be wrong, but my guess is the reason why so many people are sick now is because they're doing low carb, high protein. They're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. They're eating low fruits and they're only eating the low carbohydrate vegetables. And it's like potatoes are like the healthiest food on the planet and the tastiest. So
they do taste
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, it was so much fun to have you on, even though, nobody has to agree on everything. And I hear interesting things all the time. And my husband's like, you're gonna do what now? But yeah, so it's like I think we all need to be a little bit open and a little bit skeptical. And I think both is a little bit healthy.
Yes, so it was nice talking to you, and thank you for inviting me
Yeah.
to talking to you and being, willing to hear my story and being very gracious. I told you I was a little bit nervous. I was like, okay, I know you have a vegan
Yeah.
channel, and I don't want to be, embarrassed.
You know, my
I
I would
obviously,
say
but I felt very
my
comfortable.
channel's it's not a vegan channel. Actually it's exercise, it's health, it's nutrition. And so
Yeah.
it's basically just getting people healthier all around. And the more they can eat more plants, the better. And we all have a little bit, we're all a little bit different, and that's okay. And we just all try to do the best we can.
Yes. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome,
This is
and we'll have
great.
to get together soon, and maybe I'll make you something with my vegan cheese sauce.
Yummy. I like vegan cheese sauce. I like all this stuff. And so does my kids. We can have like
Yeah,
completely vegan meal and they're gonna enjoy and they're gonna eat a big salad. And I love that, about them. I had a couple of different recipes for the vegan cheese. My friends like, can you just not call it cheese? It really
oh yeah,
bothers me. Just it says just tell me like it's a sauce. Then that way I don't expect, it's gonna taste exactly like cheese. I'm like, but that's how we call it. And it's
I know
fine.
you. That's so funny. Some of the vegans get very, very upset. So I have a recipe. It was a tofu. I called it a tofu. Uh, what did I call it? Like potato and uh, tofu egg scramble or something like that. And I
Mhm.
had somebody just like attack me and saying, why do you have the word eggs? And thought, oh my gosh, I'm just basically explaining that it's like eggs, but it's vegan. And so I just realized, oh wait, the people will figure out scramble means eggs. So I took it out, and he was very, very happy. So we, we have extremes even within the vegan community. And I've only been vegan about 3 years. So
Mhm.
I remember when I didn't believe any of this stuff either, but it was only when I started getting really ill, which I started doing my own looking and reading and making changes and seeing the benefits. And what I tell people also is like, you don't even have to believe this at all. Just get your blood test, try the diet. If you can commit to 100% for 30 days, then get your blood results. See what those results say. And I think you'll be surprised. I mean, my cholesterol was 201 now, which is crazy. They want to put me on statins when I was in my 30s, and now it's around 150, which is ideal. My blood sugar A1C was 10.1. It was horrible, and now it's around 6. So it's like those results and how you feel like that, no matter what you believe or don't believe, look at the blood work.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Your health. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know, I have been, I guess, again, blessed that, all my blood work, like blood pressure, like I was like, wow, you have this amazing blood pressure. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of, so I have always had good, good work. And I had it when I wasn't vegan, but I also had it when I was vegan. Like I told you that I wanted to do all the tests and all that because people were saying, oh, you're gonna be deficient. And I was like, I'm not. And I was not. And I was
yeah,
great. And I was totally fine. I recommend it. I think that everyone should try. I think that even if you don't stick to it, like I decided not to continue completely vegan, I think that will still bring so much goodness into your life because it will really force you to learn more of all the yummy recipes that are full of fruits and vegetables and are so good for you. Um, I was making the Dr. McDougall lasagna sometimes. My kids love it. It was like a nice comfort food, and it's like, who
yeah.
says that you cannot have comfort foods? Also, being vegan, you can, and that are healthy. So that's what I appreciated. I think that was a totally valid and great experience. And I would go, if I had to go back, I would do it again. I might even do it again later on in my life when my kids are older and I feel like that now, if they want to do it or they have their personality or they moved out, they are doing their own thing. I would not be, one thing I know for sure is that, and I didn't say this earlier, but so many people believe, right? And that's, I think, one of the biggest lie is that like more protein, more protein, more protein.
Yeah.
We need protein. We're not deficient in protein, not in the United States, but we are in fiber.
Yeah.
So find your feed, just eat fiber, eat a lot of fiber and leave fiber, not taking pills that have fiber, right? But fiber from
Yeah.
foods, from
Right.
whole foods.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I am. And I like that being vegan brought me to this place where I no longer believe in the lie that I need to have animal protein every day or in every meal, and that's the most important things, is the protein, and the only and then when people say protein, it has to be animal,
And it's
because that's
interesting.
also not true.
The doctors will tell people, okay, you should have a multivitamin. Well, if you look at the multivitamins, all those vitamins are in plant foods.
Mhm.
So you don't need the
Yes.
vitamins, you just need the
Yes.
food. The only thing that we do
There was
need
a couple
is
of things,
B12. That's it.
the B12.
And then the iodine, you don't actually need to take that. You can have iodized salt, or you can just have, I have these little crackers that have a little bit of seaweed in them. And so I just have that. So then you're getting the iodine from the sea vegetables.
Yeah, I know that I did take a vitamin for vegans that had a few things, in them, and there was the B12. I like to use Himalaya pink salt, so that doesn't have iodine, even though it has other good things for it. So that also did have the iodine. There's so many things, like the water, even like I have a reverse osmosis filter. And while I believe that's, not the cleanest water you can get, it takes away all your trace minerals. So then I'm like, a little bit more of trace minerals in it. We have a Berkey filter, but I'm like, all the things, like my sisters go to me like, you're crazy. You're crazy, because there's so many little things and so much information out there. And it's
overwhelming.
It's good. It is overwhelming, but it is good. And I feel like it's important. You can be empowered, by information. And then when you make a decision, you can make an informed decision. And that's what I kind of am about. It's for people to make informed decisions. But a lot of times what's hard is that people don't even want to hear. They just like, don't tell me that those things are not good. I don't want to hear that, because that's what makes me feel, that's what makes me feel good. And I want to feel good. And there's a little bit more of challenges to going vegan. I'm not going to say that, especially as a mother, like we're talking about taking always my own food, not being able, like there's a potluck. Everybody's like, oh, I don't have to cook so much. I'm like, I started like, I don't like this, because now I have to make my kids a main meal and a dessert, because I know people are not going to bring out the vegan stuff. But I heard someone say, and I think it's true, it's live comfortable now, do the short term of feels good, and then have a hard life, later, or do what's hard now and then be more, comfortable. Later,
And
so.
like I hear what you say, like people are like, oh, but this makes me feel good. It's like, it makes you feel good in the moment that you're eating it and it touches your tongue. But the minute it leaves your tongue, you don't feel good anymore. You feel guilty. You don't like the way you look. You don't like the way you feel. Like someone was telling me, oh, well, my daughter likes chicken and fish. It's like, well, I love brownies. And what did I used to make with them? I used to put, margarine and flour and sugar, and I love them. And I ate the whole batch, and I felt, and then it's like, I can't eat that anymore. It's like, no matter how much I love it, I'm not going to eat it, because I know it will make me feel really bad and make my stomach not so cute.
Yeah. That all being said, though, like I heard someone say, and I think that I agree with him, he said, sometimes you have to trade your bads. And he said, if I have a client that he should lose 100 pounds and they're drinking soda all the time, and they, say, I'm going to switch to diet soda, and that's not good. That's not healthy at all. But if they will do that and they will lose, and he said, I have clients that have lost over 50 pounds just from switching to the diet soda, because they were so addicted to soda that they couldn't stop. And that already because if 100 pounds overweight, I mean, you need to lose weight. You know,
Yeah.
you can die, you're morbid. So he's like, sometimes, like, if that's all I can help someone with and that's all they will do, he's like, I prefer to feel like I helped them than to say to them, no, if you're not going to do it, then, you know, your case lost. And I was like, I think that I can,
Yeah,
I,
I
I
think,
can,
yes, small changes are better than no changes for sure.
yeah, but we should not stop, you know, speaking our truth and trying, understand, out of care for people, you want to let them know, like, this is not good, you know,
Yeah.
and this is what you should do.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your opinion, and I totally respect what you're doing, and it's super hard to be a mom, and yeah, it was so great meeting you, and hopefully I'll meet you in person soon.
Thank you. Yes, I hope that we get to meet in person too.
Yes, keep in touch. Take care.
Thank you.